and it's a pleasure to be with you in Istanbul. Thank you so much for the invitation. Sincere apologies that we could not make it for being there in person. It's a week of holidays here in Brussels and in France, but we are delighted to have been invited. I hope you can hear me well, and I will later on introduce my fellow speaker, Remy de Tonac, who is the chair indeed of the Tector International Venture Club and investor. So I will keep my own presentation short, just 5 to 10 minutes maximum, so that maybe Remy has more time and potentially that we catch up a little bit on the late program. So allow me to share and see if that works. Yes, I can see it on the screen. So we will speak about Tector, and we will speak about the International Venture Club, and Remy will have a more deep dive presentation on some of the green economy investment issues. So I'm William, I'm managing director of Tector, I'm a co-founder of Tector, I'm Belgian, nobody's perfect because the French, Remy is French, they like to speak a lot of jokes about the Belgians, so we always have a great time, something to break the ice when we meet. Tector our belief is that entrepreneurs, technology entrepreneurs that are growing, they create the impact that the world is looking for to make it more equitable and sustainable. And switching directly to what Tector is doing. So last year we helped Tector across Europe, including Turkey, Israel, which is probably two countries not to mention in the same sentence these days. But anyway, we helped 1,200 companies or entrepreneurs that were selected out of more than 3,500 applications. There are more than 1,000 investors active. And these investors are active in one of more than 25 different specific programs and events that are specialized in technology areas, and they select the companies. The platform, it's one platform online, but it's also one network. And in the last 8 years, the 3,600 companies that were in the Tector in that past 8 years raised more than 26 billion. That is actually almost 9.7 million or almost 10 million euros or dollars per company. 81% of the money is, 81%, sorry, of the companies raises money, and they raise 77% of what the money they raise after they are at the Tector. We are focused on scale-ups, so we are not really focusing on startups that coming out of a garage or a spin-off of a university. We're focused on companies that have a product that are getting some traction. And the way we do it is very simple. We work with the most active investors, and then together with them, we work to feature and select the most interesting tech companies. Many of them are the portfolio companies. We cover sustainability, but we also cover digital sector, and we cover healthcare. A lot is in the deep tech area. And as I said, it's a scale-up focus and also in person. We have investment programs that you see at the bottom left of the XY chart. And we also have scaling programs. The investment programs are more like matchmaking programs to facilitate investment and some partnership. The scaling programs is where we work with a very select group of companies in very specific areas. Here are the programs that we run in 2023, so last year. So each program selects between 30 and 50 companies, depending a bit on the quality of the companies, with as many investors that are active selecting and engaging with the companies, and then the culminating in events. So as you can see on sustainability, we are working on circularity. So this is about waste collection. We are working on water tech. We're working on materials. We're working on construction. We're working on oceans. We are working on energy and decarbonization. We are working on bio-based industries, hydrogen for transport sector, for the industry sector, and there is also agro-food there listed, and geothermal. Besides that, if you look in the digital sector, we also do other important deep tech areas like space, photonics, quantum, manufacturing, cyber security and trust, and we do a lot of things in healthcare. For example, last week we had an event on mental and brain health, on schizophrenia, on Alzheimer, on dementia, on bipolar disorders, on anxiety, stress. So very important things. And the companies that we are selecting are always amazing. So as said, the trick of Tech Tour is that we start with the right-hand side. We engage the most active investors, venture capital, so financial investors like venture capital, sovereign funds, so meaning government funds, and then a lot of corporate investors as well, very specifically active in that sector. And together we work together to identify and engage the most promising companies and entrepreneurs, and we go through a path. So this is the Tech Tour International Venture Club. As you can see, there is almost 100 funds active here. Remy is there. Remy's fund is listed there in the independent funds, ETF partners, and we have also a lot of corporate investors and a lot of sovereign funds. I'm going to skip this slide. Basically, as I said, 1,200 companies last year, a lot of VCs, a lot of corporate, a lot of family offices, a lot of angels as well. Where are the companies coming from? About a little more than a quarter from German-speaking countries, so Germany, Switzerland, Austria. A lot then from the Nordics. These are very strong deep tech areas. Other is really more like Eastern Europe, Turkey, Israel. Then we have Belgium and the Netherlands, then France. So it's a very good split across Europe. The UK is a smaller part because the UK market in terms of investment is working reasonably well. Just want to say here, I'm not going to present this slide. Maybe can come back to it later if there is time, but I don't think so. But in our scaling programs, we address key topics generically on scaling, that companies face when scaling. So just as an example, raising investment is not really the key topic. It's finding the lead investor. But in terms of finding the lead investor, you have to make sure that the investment thesis of the company within a market is absolutely correct. And the narrative means more than a nice story. You need to have a financial plan. It needs to be embedded in what you're currently doing. You need to have milestones, etc. So, and this is what the lead investors should work on. So this is the hardest part. Besides, of course, the go-to-market strategy, which are precisely the customers you're going to focus on. What is the business model? What is the partnering strategy, etc. So I'm not going to present more because, as I said, we want to focus here on Remy as the key speaker. So Remy is a great person, great entrepreneur. He's also managing partner, general partner, of ETF Partners, or both, which is the most prominent sustainability fund in Europe. He's a serial entrepreneur turned to the, from the bright side, moving to the investor side. And he's chairing the Investors Club. In the Investors Club, we have also some other great people, like, for example, Osman Kent, who is a venture partner, like Remy, a serial entrepreneur. Osman is now with Atlantic Bridge, but also engaging some of his time in the venture fund. Without further ado, I would like to...
He happens to be Turkish.
Yes,
Osman. of course.
Exactly. That's the most important thing I wanted to say indeed. So with this, I'm going to stop sharing and hand over to Remy.
Merci, William. Listen, we are supposed to be in a panel, even though it is a virtual panel. Let's play the game. So, some question for you. How many events in total, do you have that in mind? How many events in total did the Tech Tour organize over the last 25 years that you have been managing and driving it?
More than, well, somewhere between 350 and 400. I couldn't count precisely. And
Wow.
yeah.
Which means probably something like 20,000 entrepreneur pitches that were given during your events.
Close to 20,000, yes.
Okay,
Unique
great.
entrepreneurs.
And did you keep track of the number of deals or fundraising or M&A that happened during those events? Or is it difficult?
So no. So I said we tracked it over the last 8 years, and sort of 81% of the companies raised money, an average of almost 10 million euros. That's the average. So the median is probably a bit lower.
Mhm.
And 77% of the money raised is after the tech tour. Do we claim that we are doing this? No, of course, it's the merit to the companies. And it means the companies that they are the tech tour, they are companies raising money.
Hmm. Okay, and then the last more controversial question. Given the wealth of talent that you have in Turkey in digital technology, gaming, fintech, AI, etc., why is it that we don't have an Istanbul Tech Tour?
So as said, we have Turkish entrepreneurs taking part in tech tours all over Europe. It's not a big number, but one of the reasons to be speaking here is to invite more. And second, we did actually a tech tour almost 7, 8 years ago, maybe 10, when Turkey had the chair of Eureka, and TÜBİTAK was chairing Eureka as the agency, and I've seen prominent people of TÜBİTAK speaking at this event.
Teşekkürler, William.
You're welcome, Remy. Thank you. Merci beaucoup.
Don't ask me more about my capacity to talk in Turkish. Unfortunately, I'm stuck here. Although I'm pleased to say that, yeah, I'm very pleased to be on this big event. I would have loved to be there in person. Even more so, as I have to tell you, all of you in the room, that I have two granddaughters who are Turkish, and my daughter is soon to get the Turkish citizenship. So I hope I will get more and more into Istanbul. William was kind enough to mention that I've been a successful repeat entrepreneur. Well, I want to say that it took me 29 years to be a repeat entrepreneur. So to the young entrepreneur, I'm sure there are a few young entrepreneurs in the room. You have to know it is going to be long, it is going to be painful, difficult, but exhilarating and exciting. And this is really what you should do. But it took me 29 years to do two companies and two IPOs, one Nasdaq IPO and one Euronext IPO. So how did I get involved into green venture capital? Well, I must say that unfortunately, in the 90s, I was not reading the book of Professor Elkington on the triple bottom line. I was having my head buried into product development, sales, marketing with my company. And I had to wait until 2006 when I watched this terrible documentary made by Al Gore, the ex-VP of the US, An Inconvenient Truth, a global warning on global warming, that I did realize that, yeah, we were kind of killing the planet. But I didn't act on it because I was buried into my companies. And it took another few years. And I remember vividly seeing this terrible and magnificent picture. Well, in the meantime, I was called like Professor Elkington was saying I was called a eco-criminal by some of my kids, of course. But I was dealing with that. And this terrible and magnificent picture, on that day, it was in 2015 or 16, 2 billion tons of ice melted in Greenland. So you have the impression that those huskies are walking on water. To give you an idea of what it represents, it is the whole of the city of Paris, 10 million people, under 12 meters of water. This is what it represents. You get only the Eiffel Tower that stay on top of it. So that's terrible, in fact. And this is when I decided to act. It was 3 years after the second IPO, and I said, okay, you have to do something for this beautiful planet, because sooner or later you will get grandkids and you will have to stand in front of the tribunal of your kids, your grandkids, and many others, which is when I decided to join green venture capital or climate tech or tech for good, call it the way you like, the environmental technologies fund, which is one of the most experienced, one of the pioneers in Europe of sustainable investment. In the meantime, the world had been waking up on saving the world, the corporate, the policymaker, the consumer, of course, and the investors. A lot has been done, and I think we can be somehow proud to say that this year it will be 2 times more investment in clean energy than in fossil fuel. 2 times more, over $2 trillion will be invested there. So that's very significant. It is one of the green swan phenomenon that Professor Elkington was describing, and I didn't see his slide, but it must say the same. The price of solar has been divided by 100 in less than 50 years. The same is happening with wind and battery and green hydrogen and other green technologies. We are doing a lot, and especially Europe in the field of regulation for the good and the bad. We are leading the world. When it comes to regulation, we are best in the world, which is often bad, I must say. But in that case, forcing people and corporate to do the right thing, to do the good thing, is certainly something that is needed. So you may know that we have by far the largest credit carbon market in Europe that is working well. And in every industry, you have regulation pushing in steel, cement, apparel, clothing, corporate to disclose their carbon footprint, to bring transparency, traceability, and reporting. Something that is less known, and I think we should really be proud of that. We are leading the world when it comes to investment in climate tech. In fact, as you may know, overall in venture capital, the US is 2.5 times the size of Europe. Asia, China is 1.5 times the size of Europe. But when it comes to climate tech, we are bigger than the other guy. We are the kind of gorilla, the one investing the most money. And this is a trend that is gathering strength. Despite all of that, we are toast. Let's put it this way, we are toast. The 1.5 degree objective is toast. At best, if you take the best forecast based on current policies, we will get to 2 degrees, maybe slightly below, slightly above. Think of the consequences when you know that at this point of time, we are only at 1.1 degree above pre-industrial level. So we are in crisis emergency mode. And I love this slide because it is the Chinese word for crisis that is made of 2 ideograms. The first one, Wei, says danger. The second one, G, says opportunity. So what is the opportunity here in such a crisis? Well, pretty simple. The problem is the opportunity. The crisis itself is the opportunity. And innovation is the answer. We have to bring innovation to solve all these plaguing problems of pollution, congestion, waste, plastic into the ocean. And this was well phrased by a nice report from McKinsey 2 years ago. Innovate to net zero. This is simply the biggest business opportunity of this century. And I think it is an understatement. It may be more than the century. What are the big themes on which we invest? So you have less than what William was presenting in his slides. We have the very big theme here, energy transition. It is 65% of CO2 emission. Mobility at large, 30% of CO2 emission. Food, 30% of CO2 and greenhouse gas emission. It is more than 100% because you find them, of course, energy, you find it in mobility as well as in food. Green digitization, it is like smart city, smart industry. And the last one that I like very much because he's the one who is going to save us, the responsible consumer. The guy like you in this room and like us who is willing to do the extra mile for the planet, to buy the right thing, to drive the right car, not to take the plane every other day to go to a beautiful place. In Europe, the responsible consumer who is showing the way is Scandinavia. Scandinavia is doing everything right. Over 70% EV cars in Norway. Sweden will be the first country in the world to manufacture batteries that are over 60% recycled. Sweden will be the first country in the world to manufacture steel with 95% less CO2 emission than traditional factories with H2 green. So this is a big trend that is growing in Europe and I believe soon in the world. Let's speak about the companies, and here I have a question. It has to be interactive. I have a question, so difficult to ask a question to the audience, but I will ask a question to William and Elif. You have seen this beautiful car. What is, in your view, the percentage of time that this car is moving in its life? William, you want to have a try?
Well, if it's me using it, not at all, because I don't drive. I don't have a car anymore. So I would say 20%.
20%. Elif, can you answer the question? So Elif has left the room. So you go with the 20%, William. You are very far from the truth. It is 3%. Can you think of a less uneconomical way to own and manage an asset using it only 3% of the time? Second question, what is this green square in downtown San Francisco next to the Golden Gate Park? You don't know.
What do you mean? It says Haight Ashbury. I've been there this summer. It's the most expensive area to live. So
yeah, no, the green square is just a virtualization of the space, the footprint of all cars in San Francisco at any point of time. Car moving, car in the parking, car in the shop, etc., parking lots, etc. So it means that about 20 to 25% of the most premium real estate, over $15,000 per square meter, is used by cars, most of them not moving. That is really very stupid. So one of the solutions is brought by one of the scale-up company in Europe, here in France, Vulog, who is the champion of shared mobility. So every second in the world, there is a car that is rented through the Vulog platform. This is called car sharing. And so as you can share cars, get access to car sharing within a city, one car offered in car sharing mode is equivalent to 12 cars owned by individuals. So you can quickly understand what is going to be the saving in terms of CO2 and waste. Professor Leckington alluded to that, electric car sales, this is booming, although you hear for the last few months, Hertz is sending back their Tesla, there is a slowdown and there is a question mark. Do I believe in this green swan? Yes, I absolutely do believe in this green swan, like Professor Leckington. And why? Because let's look at the past. This is New York City, 5th Avenue, 1903. Where is Waldo? Where is the car? All horse carriage. Here is the car. One car among hundreds of horse carriage. 10 years later, the same 5th Avenue taken in different place. Where is the horse? And here is the horse. One horse among so many cars. So it took less than 10 years to move from 0 to 95% at that time, without the marketing, without the social network, without all of that. So no question that the EV car will follow the same path, and then the autonomous car will come, starting with the autonomous trucks on our highways. Let's move to another big problem, food. 1/3 of the food that is produced ends up in the landfill, is wasted. And by the way, over 10% of people do not have enough food. So that's really, and food is, overall food agriculture is about 30% of greenhouse gas emission. And the big solution is this platform from Belgium and France, Phoenix, company that is today profitable, that is in fact taking care of all food that is coming to expiry and that would be thrown to the landfill. So 1/3 of that is sold with a heavy discount to people who are very happy to have it. 1/3 is given to charity organization, and with that we are offering 500,000 meals per day, and the rest is going to dogs, pet food. Huge impact. Another company having a huge impact, the Modern Milkman. Not sure it was like that in Turkey. In the UK and in France long ago, the milkman was bringing the bottle of milk on your doorstep. The Modern Milkman is a company out of Manchester who is bringing all groceries, all fresh food on your doorstep. And all of that, enough of the plastic package, the cardboard, the everything. You get more plastic than food when you buy in a big retailer. Here, it is all reuse, refill, and repeat orders. And what is not a reuse or refill is compostable or recyclable. Moving and developing now very fast in the US after Europe. This is a sentence that I guess Professor Elkington has been saying quite a few times, because I guess you know that he's the one who invented the concept of the triple bottom line, people, planet, profit, in the early 90s. And from the early 90s to, I would say, the early 20s, nothing much happened. Why? Because it was not measured. And as Pete Drucker was saying, what gets measured gets managed and gets improved. So if you come now with sustainable finance, as you know, finance is driving the world. If nobody invests in toxic industry or fossil fuel, there will be no companies. They will die. But how to invest in a sustainable way? Well, we are not yet there. Until recently, you were getting this kind of result. You see on the bottom right, Tesla is getting a lower ranking than Rio Tinto or Exxon. Guess what? Rio Tinto and Exxon are really killing the world. Tesla is saving the world. But the fact is that Elon Musk is not a nice manager. He's pretty rude, to say the least. And because of that, he was getting bad marks. This is ridiculous. I don't want to invest in Exxon. I want to invest, of course, in a Tesla-like company. So this company from Australia and the UK, by the way, two of the companies that I've mentioned were sourced through the tech tour. And I would say a good 30% of my investment are sourced through the tech tour event and community. So this one is out of Australia and the UK, and they are powering today over $40 billion of investment from big funds on sustainability, ESG investment, providing the right data. Now, sustainability is not only a digital platform, it is as well deep tech. And wouldn't it be great if we were having a digital twin of the world from an environmental point of view? And this is exactly what a startup scale-up, Open Cosmos, out of Spain and the UK is doing. They are sending a constellation of shoebox satellite, the size of a shoebox. And with that, you can do tasking, visualization, and analytics on all kind of environmental problem in the world, gas leakage, extreme weather events. So just a sample of the kind of companies that we are funding in Europe. Back to my initial point, we climate tech VCs, green VC, we invest in entrepreneurs who strive for a sustainable world. And here, the important word is entrepreneur. So William asked me earlier in our discussion, Remy, did you see some kind of typical entrepreneur profile? And what is the difference between an entrepreneur and a green entrepreneur? And to the first question, is there a typical entrepreneur profile? Well, let's look at these four guys. I could have added Osman Kent as well. Huh? He would fit well probably with Richard Branson. So you cannot think of four guys more different than that. Steve Jobs, obsessed with detail. Jack Ma, nice guy, humanist. Richard Branson, the flamboyant, the rock star. Elon Musk, the tough cookie, the autistic guy. They are very, very different. But they have one thing in common, and one thing that every entrepreneur must have. And they have it at the highest degree. Drive. The drive, meaning the inner voice that says, no matter what, I will make it. No matter what, I will succeed, and I will embark people on my journey, on my mission. So now, the green entrepreneur, how is it different? Well, in fact, he's the same guy. He's the same guy, in my view, with a plus. He has purpose. He's driven by profit because we must develop profitable companies. But most importantly, he's driven by his purpose, making things good for the world. And believe me, there is nobody and nothing more powerful than a purpose-driven man. This man that you see here, picture was taken about 40 years ago, is this man, the founder and CEO until 2 years ago of Patagonia, Yvon Chouinard, US citizen. And he made the, I would say, the ultimate gift to the planet. He changed 2 years ago, he changed the rule of capitalism and he said, okay, my only investor shareholder, my only shareholder is going to be planet Earth. The whole of Patagonia is run by a trust for the good of the planet. And only the profit necessary to develop the company is reinvested in the company. The rest goes to this trust that is doing good for the planet. So, obviously, we are the last generation that can stop climate change. We are the latest stage to make things happen. And we need more of this kind of guy. I'm sure you do recognize the picture. So this is a highly driven entrepreneur or climber getting to the top of Mount Ararat, much higher than Mont Blanc in Europe. We need more of this guy, bringing innovation to the real world. And therefore, we need more of this kind of event, whether it is a tech tour sustainability in Istanbul next year, William, or whether it is other green economy investments summit like the one you are attending today and networking events to foster and start the companies that will bring innovation to the world. Why? Because we don't have a plan B, nor do we have a planet B. Voilà, Téchar-Cullard.
Would you allow me one question? So how does your digital entrepreneurship background help you in making the right investments and supporting your companies in sustainability?
Well, I would say I don't think there is any magic sauce. Or if you want to me, the magic sauce is that over 30 years I've been developing technology companies in Europe, in Asia, in the US, and I have lots of scars. I've been falling many times and then standing up, which obviously put me in a position where I feel I can help entrepreneurs who are going through the same kind of crisis of all kind, with customers, with geopolitics, with climate sometime. And this is what I love doing what I do. We are literally raising companies together and playing the kind of role of a mentor with very inspired, mission-driven entrepreneur.
Remy, what do you think of Turkey's role in sustainability investments?
I would like to know more. I know that Turkey is a powerhouse in terms of technology. I see many, in fact, I have two of my CTOs, one a deep tech in AI is a Turkish guy. So I see a lot of talents coming from Turkey. Therefore, I would be extremely keen to go there, not only to see my granddaughters, but to explore opportunities with Letven Venture Capital and other of my colleagues.
Yeah, I was in Istanbul in October. I was really impressed with the entrepreneurial drive and also the vision of the city and the country to be a leader in not just in entrepreneurship, startup, and investment, but really in deep tech and being a global leader. So congratulations, Remy. It's amazing what you do, and it's a pleasure to be with you on the virtual panel.